You've just stepped into the Midlife Revolution Unleashed, your space to ignite possibility, redefine purpose, and embrace the power that comes with age and experience. Co-hosted by yours truly, Coach Wayne.
And I'm Coach Stacy M. Lewis. We are two seasoned coaches focused on the midlife community of color. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. In a world that sometimes forgets the power and the wisdom that comes with age, we are here to ignite a revolution and rewrite the narrative of this incredible journey.
So, whether you're navigating your career, growing your business, rediscovering passions, or challenging the status quo, this is your space. So, buckle up. Let's dive into the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. Hey folks, it's Christmas Eve, the 24th in most places where we are. But if you're listening from another part of the world, you may already have gone into Christmas Day. So to folks, let us just say happy holidays. And Stacy, I think you had reminded me that the right thing to do is let folks know that this is a recorded episode today that we're unleashing on Christmas Eve, right?
Yes, indeed.
Midlife Revolution Unleashed. And I'm Coach Wayne. I work with men of color, helping them to navigate midlife transitions so that their second half can be their best half.
Absolutely.
And with me is the wonderful Coach Stacy M. Lewis. Stacy.
I always appreciate the wonderful Wayne. It is always great to be here. Hello and happy holidays to our listening and viewing audience. Thank you for joining us here at the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. I am Coach Stacy M. Lewis. I'm also a nonprofit executive and a lover of God and his people. But I get the honor of spending some time coaching midlife women of color to live a life that they love thriving. And so I always enjoy this time together, Wayne, where we just really get to come together, have some laughs, share value as we believe it to be, and in hopes of witnessing others in this beautiful season of midlife, watching them thrive.
Stacy, we had an episode last season where folks were wondering about the contents of the cup, and the cup is back because it's Christmas Eve. So I got the cup.
Yes, the cup. Yes. It was like, what's in the cup, Wayne? He wouldn't tell. So this time we just won't ask, but we'll trust that the cup is a benefit and will keep you going throughout the episode.
It runneth over. So, Stacy, today, as we are getting closer and closer to the new year, today we wanted to wrap up our series that we have been running for the last 3 weeks. This is the fourth one in the series. And Stacy, you want to talk a little bit about, recap a little bit of what we've covered so far? Please?
Absolutely. So in our Midlife Compass series, as we look forward to 2025 and beyond, we've talked about reconnecting and reflecting. We've talked about identifying your values and how integral they are to your vision. And we've talked about ways to stop the comparison cycle, both comparing yourself to others and where they are in this season of life, as well as comparing yourself to yourself, where you thought you would be, where you think you should be, and really looking forward to 2025 with a sense of possibilities and utilizing the opportunities and the lessons that we've learned in this season, the level of resiliency that we've built as midlifers, and pulling all of that together in a way that helps us really vision for 2025 and beyond. And today we get to talk about the fact that, the vision for life is a beautiful thing, but how do we really begin to bring that vision that we have for 2025 and beyond to life? How do we begin to take that vision and put it into an actionable plan, um, to move us forward? And so that's what we're going to talk about today: actionable steps, strategies to create a clear and achievable plan to live out that midlife vision.
Stacy, New Year's comes with New Year's. They kind of marry each other, is the whole idea of resolutions, right?
Mm,
And so, no matter how the year has ended, people always ascribe to these grand illusions. They call them resolutions for the next year. And the study shows that within the first 30 days, like everybody goes to the gym the day after New Year's. It's crowded. You can't get on a bicycle or a cycle rather or anything. I'm aging myself here, bicycle. But what happens is by the third week, 1/3 of the folks have already broken their resolutions.
mhm.
And in 3 months, the report says 80% of people have already missed out on their New Year's resolutions. So today we want to talk about how do you bring to fruition or manifestation the vision that you have for 2025. And we're going to take a crack at giving you 3 definitive action steps at the end of this episode that you can put into gear right away to start rolling.
Yeah, and our hope is that, if you haven't checked out the other episodes of the Midlife Compass series, take some time to just, give a listen. You can catch us on your podcast players, as well as on LinkedIn and Facebook. You can catch the replays, um, because it really is a building. And this idea of waiting until January 1st to put that stake in the ground, I think the data that you just shared, Wayne, really demonstrates that that idea is passe. Don't wait until January 1 to decide what you're going to do and then start to take action. The real sustainable action is going to be, part of a plan, right? That's going somewhere where you can see the destination ahead, even if it's a mile marker and not the final destination, where you can see where you're going. You have a plan to get there, and you actually have identified the steps to get there so that you don't peter out on day 21 like you're talking
Yeah.
about.
And Stacy, they've always said that when you have goals without a plan, it's just a dream. And for some, that becomes a nightmare, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So planning, what does planning do? Planning has its advantages because it helps us when you're planning, right? You're laying down the blueprint. It helps you to stay motivated, to track your progress because you got it down there. So you guys have some measurements along the way. Gives you that peace of mind.
Mhm.
Planning gives you a path, right? So that you stay organized.
Planning, um, also provides a sense of clarity, right? To really see, where you're going, and to really be able to identify as well where some of the hurdles might be. I think planning can also provide a sense of confidence, um, that you have something to, um, move forward with, to possibly reduce that sense of being overwhelmed, like, what am I going to do? Or, I have all of these thoughts in my head about how I'm going to move forward. I also think a benefit of planning can be motivation, right? That on those days where you're maybe less motivated, you don't have to construct or come up with what your next step is. You already know what it is. And even if you are under inspired, you can still move forward some of the actions in your plan um, that really bring you back to a level of motivation.
Yep. And there's this other adage that says, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes,
jump,
yes.
yeah, jumping into the planning stages, Stacey, the first thing that we would encourage you to do as you vision out for 2025 is to set what we call SMART goals. SMART, SMART goals.
Mm-hmm.
And no, we're not talking about AI related goals. That's not the SMART we're talking about. We're talking about specific, measurable, some say attainable goals, realistic or relevant goals, and time sensitive, time bound goals.
Yeah, yeah. It really, um, I'm sure that many of our fellowship has heard this before, but the value there is, I don't know about you, Wayne, but I can think of a time when I've set in my mind a very lofty, unattainable, unrealistic goal about what I would accomplish, whether it's in the next 10 days, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. Or, within the next 30 days, I'm going to turn my business from, say $5,000 a month to $10,000 a month. And
Yeah.
so I think it is important that the goals be specific, be measurable, be achievable, and really be relevant to the entirety of the plan, right? Not just a goal that doesn't really connect with driving your plan forward, but a goal that is relevant and connected to the larger plan. And the time bound is also really important because you can also look at that and see if you're being realistic, like the 10 days, 10 pounds, not realistic.
Yeah.
Although, I can recall some lofty goals in my day.
Yeah. And Stacey, let us get into the weeds and actually,
Sure.
I want to give an example of a goal that someone
Hmm.
would start off setting as part of their vision in. Because
Hmm.
remember, there's the vision, but the way to the vision is through the goals, right? The
Yes.
vision is a larger picture. And so the goals are going to be more finite. It's the blueprint that you're creating now to get there. And let's say one said, next year, I'm going to make money in my business. Well, that is a lofty, very widely spread, non-specific,
Right.
non-measurable goal.
Right. Right.
So this is how you would want to break that down. You would want to say specifically, what aspect are you going to work on, right? Lay it out. Next year, I'm going to, you know, double my marketing efforts, da 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 da,
Hmm.
to increase my revenue by 20% or, by the end of the third quarter. That is a more realistic, specific, measurable, and hopefully realistic. Hopefully you are in a position because you have the tools and know-how and all that you need to make it realistic and not just reach out into the air and pull a number down, but you are being real.
Yeah, I love that example because what is making some money in your business? Does that mean making $1? Does that mean making $5? Does that mean making $500,000? The specificity is something that again provides you with a destination. And, when you have a very broad destination, it's very easy to get overwhelmed because you're not really clear or specific about where you're going. So I love that example because, I don't know about you, Wayne, but I definitely want more than
Yeah,
$1 out of my
yeah,
business next year.
yeah. So measurable is key as well. If you don't have a sense of real metrics, you
Hmm.
can just give it out. even if you're using that example, if you put a dollar value or percentage value behind it, you can check the target as to, in terms of quantify where you are at any
Mm-hmm.
time to know if you're hitting it or not, or just how much. And by the way, when you set smart goals, you're not necessarily tied into it in a way that's inflexible. You can be agile and be flexible and address and adjust as needed. So maybe you can't do it in the second quarter. You may have to push to the third quarter based on the economy or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
don't set yourself up for failure and just create a goal. Stacy, you've been talking about the weight thing. Don't just
Mm-hmm.
get up and say, "Hey, man, by January, I'm gonna lose 30 pounds."
Mm-hmm.
You might lose your life in the process.
Right.
So set a
Right.
realistic goal that you have. When we say attainable, not only is it relevant and realistic, but you have the wherewithal to make that happen. It's pragmatic.
And I think around this time, Wayne, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about what some of your clients may be prioritizing as it relates to actionable steps and goals. Um, you know, I find that many of us many of the women that I'm talking with and coaching, those goals are around personal growth.
Mhm.
Yes, some of them are around business growth or career growth, but they're often around personal growth. And I'm just wondering, Wayne, for men, what are you hearing and sensing?
Unfortunately, I'm not hearing a lot of the personal growth for men. I'm hearing a lot of the career, business, financial growth more so for men.
Mhm,
And, and,
mhm,
and that's not surprising because a lot of brothers are measured in terms of their worth by the ability to provide for
mm,
themselves and their families. And because of the competitive things with brothers, it's about making that cheddar, making that money. And so a lot of brothers go in and they're like, I'm going to either start a business, I'm going to go chase the dollar in different ways, even as far as, buy a bigger house, upgrade it really comes from a different perspective. And you do hear uh, brothers talk about the personal development piece, but it's not as common as you would want to believe.
well, and I think it's in some ways it's probably okay, because I would imagine that even as one, I think male, female, that anywhere in between, as you pursue even your career growth, part of that is what are the skills that I need, whether they be interpersonal skills or tactical skills that I need to develop in order to reach that next level in my career. So even though it's not identified as personal growth, there is some personal growth that needs to happen in order to, slay the next dragon or chop down the next tree, as you say. What are some actionable steps that we want to share with our fellowship?
Well, we need, I think, to have some accountability partners somewhere along the
Mm,
line, some accountability
mhm,
subjects,
mhm, mhm,
and just hold people holding you to the fire, so to speak.
mhm.
And in the end, we're going to wrap up. We're going to talk about it, but I think it's important because when you have someone to share in the vision and the goal, what's in the dark comes to light. And so
Mhm.
we don't want to shame you, but you are going to feel a sense of, well, I got to check in and make sure that I am checking the boxes because Wayne knows, because Coach Stacy knows. If Coach Stacy doesn't know, nobody else knows, you can always cheat yourself and say, man, who's going to
Right.
figure it
I totally agree. The idea of support and accountability. And at the same time, you want to be mindful of who you share your goal, your vision, your dreams, your plan with. You really want to surround yourself, not necessarily with yes people, but people that support your vision, that believe in you and your vision, your dream, your plan, and will give you constructive support, constructive feedback, and will hold you accountable. And so I do believe in accountability as an action step. I think, in addition, uh, you should write your plan down. As the good book says, the basic instruction before leaving Earth says, write the vision down and make it plain. And as we talk about these SMART goals, like, let's start to outline some really specific tasks related to each goal. Right? How are we going to accomplish this goal, and write that down? That should also be specific and measurable, etc. Um, but where are we going and how are we going to get there? And that
Yes.
writing it down, tracking your progress, really breaking down those goals into actionable tasks or accomplishments are really going to help you see your progress, right? Which is then allows you to celebrate your success and move forward motivated.
To your point, and I wanna close up the accountability piece and jump into your point, if I may, Stacy.
Mm-hmm.
The accountability person or persons can't be a yes person.
Mm.
I have a client that I'm working with, and he said, not I, he said to me that he's going to start an exercise program 4 times a week. That was his decision, not mine. Again, talking about realistic planning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he got back to me 2 weeks later and he said, hey, I've been doing 3 days a week. Yes, it's a small win from nothing, but I had to be hard and real and say, you missed your mark. You didn't make the goal. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you might want to celebrate it, but let's be real. This is not like, you know, kindergarten soccer where everybody gets a prize for putting on a uniform and showing up whether win or lose, right? Which I have a problem with too, by the way. Teachers learn helplessness. But for me, if you set 4 days, make 4 days. And if you can't, you're going to get away by the excuses. So make sure that your accountability person is not a yes person. It's a person that's going to really hold you to your truth. And to your point, Stacy, you talked about writing it down.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that makes sense. I use a vision board. Writing it down, some people journal, some people just have a checklist. What writing it down does, it takes it from the space of the ether, so to speak, the mind space, and it brings it down in an objectifiable way. So now it's on paper. You can
Mm-hmm.
actually see the thing beginning to manifest, right? And you can then reach out and literally touch it. So that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, and I love what you were saying. So clearly, Wayne and I are bouncing back and forth, and this is our jam, right? Um, when you were talking about accountability, I think there are some ways that we can encourage our fellowship to build that support accountability system, and part of it, yes, you should have a coach. I believe everybody needs a coach. I have too. Um, because there is that built-in accountability to your point and demonstration that's saying, I'm not here to be your friend, while a good friend can be an accountability partner, but I am here to hold you accountable. And that's why you've engaged me, to not only cheer you forward and help you map out that strategy, but to hold you accountable. There are some questions one can ask themselves to identify who those people might be, right? Who can you trust to hold you accountable? That trust part, I think, is very important, because you want to make sure that they are doing so in a way that is not tearing you down, but that is really supporting you from a place of care and trust. Um, what communities or groups can you connect with that would provide, right, the level of encouragement and support that you might need. So I'm just really, we want to always be helpful and give some strategies and techniques to our people, because we want to see you thrive. So I love that you went back to support and accountability. And so I just wanted
Yes,
to
yes,
drill
yes.
down on that a little bit more.
And the last one, last piece of nugget we're going to drop on that accountability is, and you said it, and I just want to make sure folks are hearing it. Leave out the folks who are not supporting you, the naysayers, the toxic folks. You got some folk, they just can't wait to tell you no, it can't be done, right? That's their MO. And
Hmm.
so you don't want to put it out there. You're looking for a promotion. Don't go tell that person who got green eye jealousy, or that person who never supports you, who can't see the vision, because that Debbie Downer is certainly gonna put a flat tire into your journey. So forget about that. And Stacy, there's another one, and we talked about time bound, but also
Mm.
we have to be disciplined enough to set aside intentionally the time to work on our vision or goals. We have to set aside that part of the planning,
Yes.
and there's
Yes.
several ways to do it. Get a calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it really doesn't exist. I tell people all the time, if I have a plan, personal and professional, it goes on the calendar. They all integrate into one calendar, right? And if it's not there, it's not going to happen likely, because it's not real for me.
Yeah, I think that that's so critical. And do what works for you. Yes, my calendar is important. I also find that um, kind of clearing my brain, one of the worksheets that I have is about brain dumping. And it is that clearing of the brain to really make space for identifying priorities and writing them down as part of my plan, to say, like, okay, because I can come up with 50 million tasks to accomplish a goal. But really, let's keep the main thing.
Yes.
What are the real tasks that are going to accomplish that goal? And how do I make sure that I'm on task and moving forward in a way that is managing my time well and paying attention to the reason I'm doing something? So the calendar is critical to me, so that I'm not double booking myself, so to speak. Yet that idea of clearing my mind of all of the clutter that sometimes happens, I think is important to carving out that time that you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah. And we talked about it before. We can revisit it on another show. There are strategies with the blocking of time, uh,
Hmm.
and the use of time, the Pomora strategy, where you work, say, 15 minutes straight, take a 2-minute break, come back, and you repeat that cycle 3, 4 times, and then you take a real break and get away from the stuff, just to make sure that you're not overwhelmed, but you are just strictly focused and on the move.
Yeah, I think another way we can carve out time is to, when possible, change our environment. Some folks do great work at coffee shops, or shared work locations. Some work well in their office, and some work better in the park. When you are, it's important to carve out time. Um, for planning. And I agree with you, Wayne. There are many tools and apps, things of that nature, that can help with with the planning and the tracking. Right? We talked about writing it down and tracking progress. So we can share some of those tools in the show notes, to remind folks about the techniques that you raised, and different apps or planners that might be helpful in moving forward into a powerful 2025.
And I misspoke. It's the Pomodoro. I probably said Pomoro. Pomodoro is the
Pomodoro.
title. Yeah.
Pomodoro. What
So,
go ahead.
Stacy,
Yes.
you're a fantastic coach, and people need to reach out and see if they're a good fit for your services. How do we have folks tap into your river of wisdom in 2025?
I appreciate that, Wayne. The River of Wisdom. I love that. I think the best way is to visit me on thestacymlewis.com. Certainly, I can be found on LinkedIn and Instagram, and not too much on Instagram, but I am there, and Facebook as well. But my heart's desire is to really just be there to cheer women forward. And so I appreciate you asking that, Wayne. How can folks reach you?
Hey, to make it easy for you, if you're listening in on Facebook or LinkedIn, just DM me, get into my profile, DM me, or just go on my website. That's VIPtransformativeliving.com, and you'll see everywhere that I'm available to be connected. And Stacy, I want to give away, or not give away, but I want to offer a course that is actually going at a huge discount this holiday, 79% off.
Ooh, Merry Christmas, y'all.
Very affordable. It's the course Breaking Free, Discover Your Purpose, Power, and Prosperity in Midlife. Just giving you 7 habits or disciplines that if you follow, you'll find yourself realizing much of your potential.
All right. Well, what I will say is we want to do a little recap. We want to remind you to engage techniques. We're talking about moving into 2025 powerfully and moving through 2025 with a sense of victory, basically. So, engage techniques to best manage your time, create smart goals, create an accountability system that works for you. Write it down. Very important. So remember to create those goals in ways where you're looking at short term, medium term, long term goals. And as we wrap up 2024, you will hear from Wayne and I in our final episode of 2024 as we just talk about reflecting and moving forward through the gift of letting go. Wayne, did I forget anything?
Set aside time, and we talked about the brain dump during that. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure we schedule the time to make it happen, and also the brain dump for clearing. Stacy, we added some bonuses for them, and that's what this holiday season is about, right? Giving away. Yes.
Absolutely. Gotta share the bonuses. So we encourage you in our listening, viewing audience to, share your goals and progress, whether you are following us on Facebook or LinkedIn, or catching the replay on either of those platforms or on your favorite podcast player. Please share with us your comments, your goals, the progress that you're making, your readiness for 2025. We're happy to hold you accountable. So if you want to post what your vision is and what your plan is in any of those comments, know that Wayne and I do pay attention and we are cheering you on.
Yep. And Stacy, that's the last word for today. And next week, we're going to have another pre-recorded event on New Year's Eve. So please, if this has been of any value to you, share it with a friend.
Absolutely.
So we will catch up with you later. Merry
Next
Christmas.
time. Merry
And there you have it, folks. This week's episode of the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. Hey, we truly appreciate your spending this time in this space with us. Join us next week at the same time as we dive into relevant topics and present solutions to spark new thinking and empower your midlife journey.
And don't forget, if you enjoyed today's episode, let us know in the comments and share it with others. And of course, remember to subscribe, share, like, hit that notification bell. You are the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. I'm Coach Stacy, and I'm cheering you on.
And I'm Coach Wayne, and I'll see you at the top.